Everyone thinks running from danger means you're safe. I believed that lie for 5 years. Until the moment Wun Jun crouched down in that rain-soaked Vancouver park and whispered my children's names. Leo, Luna, names he should never have known. The dragon tattoo curling up his neck was the same one I'd traced with my fingers when I thought he was just a businessman, before I discovered he was Seoul's most ruthless Mafia don. And now he was staring at the twins with those same black eyes they inherited from him. When my 4-year-old son asked, "Mommy, who is he?" The man I'd been hiding from for half a decade answered before I could lie, "I'm your father." That's when I realized the worst mistake wasn't running from him. It was thinking I could ever escape. You want to know the real kicker? I'd checked that park 17 times before bringing the twins. 17 times. I'd memorized every exit, every blind spot, every parent who showed up at the same time each week. I thought I was being careful. But here's what nobody tells you about men like Wun Jun. They don't chase you because they're obsessed. They chase you because they own patience the way other people own wallets. And while I was busy scanning for strangers, he'd already bought the police captain standing 30 feet away. The SUV door opened like a coffin lid. 2 black vehicles, no sirens, no witnesses. Just the soundless efficiency of a man who owned more than money. He owned silence itself. "Officer, please," I started, reaching for the cop like he was my last hope. But Wun Jun's hand caught my wrist. Not rough. Just firm enough to remind me who was in control. The officer didn't even look at me. "Mr. Wun, your flight's been cleared. No delays." That's when my stomach dropped through the pavement. Wun Jun handed him an envelope. Thick. Unmarked. And the cop pocketed it like he was accepting a tip for coffee. Not watching a kidnapping in broad daylight. "You paid him," I whispered, numb. Wun Jun tilted his head, studying me like I'd said something adorable. "I paid all of them. The precinct, the airport security, the border patrol. Did you really think you could hide from me in a city I own?" That's when I understood. I hadn't been hiding at all. I'd been living in a cage I just couldn't see the bars of yet. The private jet was bigger than my apartment. Cream leather, mahogany tables, a bar stocked with bottles that probably cost more than my car. Leo and Luna clung to me, their faces ghost white, and I kept thinking, this should be exciting for them, their first plane ride. Instead, it felt like a funeral procession. Wun Jun sat across from us, perfectly still, and the silence was so loud it had weight. Finally, I broke. "How long have you known?" His hand went to his jacket, pulled out his wallet, flipped it open. There I was, 5 years younger, laughing at something off camera. Hair loose, eyes bright. I remembered that day, Namsan Tower, hot dog from a street vendor, sugar on my lips. He'd told me I was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen, and I'd believed him like an idiot. "I've carried you with me every day," Wun Jun said softly. "You were never gone, Joy. You were just misplaced." My hands curled into fists. I wasn't misplaced. I left. There's a difference. His eyes went dark. "Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you stole something that belonged to me and ran." Here's where it gets twisted. Leo, my brave, 4-year-old son, looked this man dead in the eye and asked, "Are you a bad man?" The entire plane went still. Even the engines seemed to quiet down. Wun Jun didn't flinch, didn't lie. Just met his son's gaze with the kind of honesty that made my blood freeze. "Yes," he said simply, "but not to you. Never to you." And that's when I knew I was in trouble. Because the monster I'd been running from wasn't trying to scare my children. He was trying to protect them. And I didn't know which terrified me more. Seoul hit me like a slap. 30 floors up. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Guards at every entrance. The twins got rooms that looked like fairy tales. Toys they never asked for. Beds that could swallow them whole. I stood in the hallway between their doors, chest tight, whispering to myself, "This is temporary. I'll find a way out. I always do." Then I turned around. Wun Jun was there, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, and the look on his face told me he'd heard every word. "You won't run again," he said. Not a threat, just a fact. I lifted my chin. "Watch me." He pushed off the wall, walked past me, paused at my ear. "You belong to me, Joy. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be." I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I paced. Planned. The guards rotated every 6 hours. The windows didn't open, but there had to be a service exit. Something. I just needed time. But time, I was learning, was another thing Wun Jun owned. The next morning, voices woke me. Deep, male, Korean. I crept to the door, cracked it open. Wun Jun stood in the center of a half circle of men in dark suits. His inner circle. One of them, a man with a scar running down his cheek, gestured toward the hallway. "You're sure they're yours?" he asked in Korean, tone skeptical. "They're mixed. The clan might not." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "Are you questioning me?" Wun Jun's voice was soft, lethal. The scarred man hesitated. "No, Hyung Nim, I'm just saying." "The clan," Wun Jun interrupted, "will accept what I tell them to accept." He turned, and I saw the dragon tattoo fully for the first time, curling up his neck, wrapping around his throat like a noose made of ink. Look at them. Look at their eyes, their faces. They are mine. My blood runs in their veins. And if anyone in this organization has a problem with that, they can take it up with me personally. Then came the moment that broke me. A crash echoed down the hall. We both ran. Leo stood, there, fists raised, facing down a guard twice his size. Luna was behind him crying. "Get away from my mom!" Leo shouted, voice shaking but fierce. The guard looked at Wun Jun confused. And Wun Jun? He stared at his son for a long moment, then crouched down to Leo's level. "You were protecting your mother," he said. Not a question. Leo nodded, breathing hard. "That's good. But your stance is wrong." He adjusted Leo's feet. Gentle, careful. Feet shoulder-width apart, dominant foot back. Guard up. When you throw a punch, you don't just use your arm, you use your whole body. Understand? Leo nodded, eyes wide. "Show me." Leo threw a punch, clumsy, uncoordinated, but full of heart. Wun Jun caught his small fist in his palm and smiled, actually smiled. "Better. We'll work on it." I watched from the doorway, throat tight, mind screaming at me to intervene, to pull Leo away before Wun Jun turned him into something dangerous. But I didn't move. Because for the first time since the park, my son wasn't afraid. And I didn't know if that made me feel safer or more terrified than I'd ever been. But here's the truth nobody prepared me for. It gets worse. Way worse. It took me 3 weeks to find the phone. I'd been careful, methodical, watching guard rotations, memorizing patterns, waiting for that one moment of carelessness. It came during a shift change. 30 seconds when the hallway monitor was unmanned. I found a burner phone in the guard station, tucked it in my waistband. That night, bathroom locked, shower running to mask sound, I dialed the U.S. Embassy. "Please, my name is Joy Mitchell. I'm an American citizen. I've been taken against my will." They promised to send someone. 48 hours. I hung up and stared at my reflection. I looked different. Thinner. Older. Like I'd aged a decade in 3 weeks. But I'd done it. I'd found a way out. Except the next morning, Luna didn't come to breakfast. I found her in bed. Small body curled up, forehead burning. "Baby, what's wrong?" "My throat hurts, and I'm cold." The fever wouldn't break. By evening, she was shivering so hard her teeth chattered. A private physician came, prescribed antibiotics, promised she'd be fine. But that night, the fever spiked again. I was about to call the doctor when the door opened. Wun Jun, still in his suit, tie loosened. "How is she?" "She's burning up. I don't know what to do." He crossed the room, pressed his hand to Luna's forehead, jaw tight. "Go get some rest, I'll stay with her." "I'm not leaving?" "Joy." He looked at me, and the expression was something I hadn't seen before. Softer. Almost human. "You've been up for 2 days. You're no good to her if you collapse. Go. Sleep. I'll watch her." I left but didn't go far. Sat in the hallway outside the door, back against the wall, and listened. For hours, nothing but his breathing, the rustle of blankets. Then Luna whimpered, and I heard his voice. Low, soothing, speaking Korean in a tone so gentle it cracked my chest open. "Shh, Natal. Appa's here. You're safe." "My daughter. Daddy's here." When I finally peeked inside, Wun Jun was sitting in the chair beside her bed, head bowed, hand resting on hers. He hadn't moved, hadn't left. He'd stayed. By morning, Luna's fever broke, and I canceled the call to the embassy. That's when I realized I wasn't just trapped in this place. I was starting to not want to leave. But the universe has a sick sense of humor, because 3 days later, a package arrived. Small, black paper. No return address. The moment Wun Jun saw it, his entire body went rigid. "Get them out of here," he said, voice sharp enough to cut glass. "What?" "Take Leo and Luna to their rooms, now." I grabbed the twins, pulled them down the hallway, heart pounding. The last thing I saw before the door closed, Wun Jun opening the box. Inside was a doll. A little girl doll. Dark hair, pink dress. Its head had been cut off. My blood turned to ice. Within an hour, the penthouse was on lockdown. Guards doubled, windows sealed, every entrance monitored. Wun Jun moved like a general preparing for war, face hard, movements efficient, voice cold and clipped as he barked orders in Korean. I cornered him in his office. "Who sent that?" "The Viper Clan, a rival organization. They've been looking for a weakness." My stomach twisted. And they found one. The twins. Wun Jun looked at me, and the fury in his eyes was so intense I took a step back. "They won't touch them. I will burn their entire organization to the ground before they get within a mile of my children." "Your children?" My voice rose. "You mean the children you dragged into this nightmare? The children who would have been safe if you'd just left us alone?" He slammed his hand on the desk. I flinched. "You think you were safe?" he roared. "You think hiding in Vancouver with a fake name and a cheap apartment was going to protect them? The Vipers have been watching you for months, Joy. They knew about the twins before I did. The only reason they're still alive is because I found you first." My legs nearly gave out. "You're lying." "I'm not." He pulled a folder from his desk, threw it at me. Photographs spilled out. Me and the twins at the park, at the grocery store, walking to school. Surveillance photos, taken from a distance, taken by someone who'd been hunting us. "The danger was never inside this house," Wun Jun said, voice quieter now, but no less intense. "It was always outside, and now it's here." That's when I understood the sickening truth. I hadn't been protecting my children by running. I'd been serving them up on a silver platter to wolves I didn't even know existed. And the monster I thought I was hiding from? He was the only thing standing between them and a bullet. The attack came at 2 a.m. Gunfire, sharp, close. I bolted upright, heart slamming, and ran to the twins' rooms. Leo was awake, clutching his blanket, eyes wide with terror. Luna was crying. "It's okay," I lied, pulling them into my arms. "It's okay, we're okay." But we weren't okay. The gunfire was getting closer. Wun Jun appeared in the hallway, flanked by guards holding a gun, face set in grim determination. Get them to the safe room. No, I'm not leaving you. You're not staying here. He grabbed my shoulders, firm but not rough. There's a gun in the safe room, top shelf. Code is Luna's birthday. If anyone gets through that door who isn't me, you shoot them. Understand? My throat was too tight to speak. I nodded. He looked down at Leo and Luna, and for a split second his mask cracked. Be brave, he told them. Then he kissed Luna's forehead, ruffled Leo's hair, turned back to me. I'll come for you. I promise. Then he was gone. The safe room was small. Reinforced steel. No windows. One light. I found the gun exactly where he said, hands shaking as I loaded it. I'd never held a gun before. Now I was pointing it at the door, children huddled behind me, praying I wouldn't have to use it. The gunfire stopped. 10 minutes of nothing but silence. Then footsteps. Heavy. Multiple sets. I raised the gun. The door handle turned. Mommy, Luna whimpered. Close your eyes, baby. Both of you. Close your eyes. The door opened. 3 men. Not Wun Jun. Not guards. Strangers with guns and cold eyes and smiles that made my skin crawl. I didn't hesitate. I pulled the trigger. The sound was deafening. Recoil knocked me back. I fired again. And again. Until the men were on the ground and my ears were ringing and I couldn't tell if I was breathing or screaming or both. Then Wun Jun was there. He stepped over the bodies like they were nothing, suit torn and bloodied, face streaked with grime, and pulled me into his arms so hard it hurt. You're okay. You're okay. I've got you. But he didn't. Because when I looked past him, I saw Leo standing frozen in the corner, staring at something on the floor. A knife. And blood pooling beneath Wun Jun's side. You're hurt. My voice sounded distant. He looked down like he'd forgotten. It's nothing. You're bleeding. I said it's nothing. But when he tried to stand, his legs buckled. I caught him before he fell. The penthouse was a war zone. Bodies. Bullet holes. Shattered glass. But the vipers were gone. Dead or fled. Didn't matter. Wun Jun's men cleared the space while I dragged him to his bedroom, laid him on the bed. His shirt was soaked with blood. When I peeled it back, I saw the wound. A deep gash across his ribs, still bleeding. I need a doctor. No time. There's a med kit. Bathroom. Bottom drawer. I found it, brought it back, hands trembling as I threaded the needle. I don't know how to do this. Yes, you do. His hand covered mine, steadying me. You've kept yourself and the twins alive for 5 years. You can do this. So I did. I stitched him up, hands shaking with every pull of thread. When I was done, I pressed a bandage over the wound and sat back, chest heaving. Why? My voice broke. Why did you come for us? Really? He looked at me for a long moment, eyes dark and unreadable. Because a king is nothing without a legacy, and a man is nothing without his heart. He reached up, bloodied hand cupping my cheek. You are both, Joy. You always have been. My eyes burned. I hated that I believed him. The next morning, Wun Jun was in his office. Pale, tired, but alive. He handed me an envelope. What is this? A plane ticket. And enough money to start over? Anywhere you want. I stared at him. You're free to go. I can't keep you in danger. I won't. Take the twins. Leave. I'll make sure no one follows. I opened the envelope. Business class, 3 tickets. Vancouver. I looked at the tickets. Then at the door, where Leo and Luna were playing in the hallway, laughing as a guard taught them a card game. I looked at Wun Jun, standing there with a wound he'd taken for our son, offering me freedom even though it was tearing him apart. I tore the tickets in, half. We're already home. His eyes widened. Joy. I'm not running anymore. Not from you. Not from this. If we're going to survive, we do it together." He stared at me, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked vulnerable. "You're sure?" I wasn't. But I nodded anyway. "I'm sure." And when he pulled me into his arms, I didn't pull away. But here's what I didn't tell you. That wasn't the end of the Viper clan, it was just the beginning. Because 3 weeks later, I found something in Wun Jun's office, a file marked Project Succession. And what I saw inside made me realize he didn't just want me back for love. He needed the twins for something else, something he'd been hiding from me this entire time. And when I confronted him, his answer changed everything. Subscribe to see what I discovered, and comment where you're watching from. I'd love to say hello and know how far this story has reached. Because trust me, if you think this was intense, you have no idea what's coming next.